Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to another week of the Fixate Binge Podcast. I am, of course, your trusty host. I'm here every week. We are only within 3 episodes, I think, after this one for hitting a major milestone in this podcast. It will be our 200th episode, and I think that will probably happen sometime in early to mid-March. So I've got to come up with something special for that one. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know if I'll have a guest. I don't know that far out if I'll have that together, but I definitely want to do something special that kind of highlights you for listening and coming back, and also to just kind of re-emphasize what the podcast is about and why I love doing it. And it's not monetized. I'm not making money. I just enjoy talking movies, and it's a great thing to continue to talk about because there's so many things always coming out. So that's something on the near horizon. Really quick, I did want to say I went and saw a film recently that came out. It's in the cinema right now. It is called Send Help. It's directed by Sam Raimi. It is his first rated R film in quite some time. I gotta say, I really enjoyed this. So with that in mind, I did write a review of it, and I don't think my review veers off into things that weren't already revealed in the trailer. You know that there's a plane crash. You know that 2 characters are stranded on this island together. So with that in mind, I wanted to read to you very briefly my Letterboxd review, and I'll just go quick. And because I want to be quick, because I've got a very, very special guest who's joining me from Queens, New York City. He's standing by. I can't wait for you to meet my guest. So I'm going to get to him in just a quick minute. But here's that review from Letterboxd. Others have called it the perfect amalgamation of Castaway meets Misery, but this comparison is simply too reductive for what really is going on in Sam Raimi's Send Help, a feminist survival horror story that has a lot more to say than just jump scares and Paradise Lost themes. For my money, the more apropos comparison that encapsulates the tongue-in-cheek feminist satire Raimi is going for in Send Help is really a cross, a trifecta, if you will, between Promising Young Woman, William Golding's Lord of the Flies book, and of course, Triangle of Sadness. Written by Damian Shannon and Mark Swift, Send Help presents a table-turning, come-uppance morality tale that soon goes off the rails in ways I feel haven't been seen since his Darkman days. Starring Rachel McAdams in the most atypical role she's ever taken to date as Linda Little, an unconsciously nerdy office underling, languishing in career purgatory, working within a frat house company environment led by its new cocksure douchebag CEO, Bradley Preston, played by Dylan O'Brien. When the company private jet experiences a catastrophe mid-flight, McAdams and O'Brien find themselves stranded on a remote tropical island. An exasperated O'Brien, unaccustomed to the challenges of being marooned on an island, recovering from wounds, barks at Linda Little, "Let's not forget, I am your boss, you work for me." The irony of those words underscore how much the balance of power has actually shifted in this cautionary tale about power dynamics, control, and supremacy. With a plot that takes surprising twists and turns throughout the wild, anarchic ride. With Raimi's characteristic direction, the central theme seems clear enough. As Lord Acton once famously said, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Arguably a career best from McAdams and another great performance from O'Brien, Send Help is a satisfying survival horror comedy that never grows stale. I urge you to see it. It's in the cinema right now. It's one of the best things you can see at the cinema right now. It's worth the price of admission. Check it out. Anyway, so that's my review. Very quickly, I want to get into a TV show that I quickly binged. I was able to binge it because Disney Plus for whatever reason, they put all the episodes out, and over a matter of a couple afternoons, I checked the entire show out. And that is Wonder Man with Sir Ben Kingsley and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who you've seen him in the DCEU. He was Mantis, or I can't remember. He was one of the villains in Atlantis. It is a really satisfying show. It's about friendship. Its central theme is friendship. It took its time developing these two characters played by Ben Kingsley and Mateen. It took its time. And at the end, it's a very inspiring tale about what friends do for each other. Now, the backdrop of this, of course, is, if you've seen the show, is that you have the character played by Mateen. He is a struggling actor. He's desperate to find his big break in Hollywood. And he's he's more or less mentored by Ben Kingsley's character. Now, Ben Kingsley's character is reprising the role, is playing the character of Trevor Slattery, who had played the part of the Mandarin in the Iron Man 3 film. And what's happening here is it's about trust, it's about friendship, and it's about never giving up on your dream. And so it's an inspiring short series. And if you haven't had an opportunity to see it, the production values are fantastic. The story is very, very inspiring. And I could not think of a better show to discuss that really dovetails into my guest being here this evening from, as I said, Queens or Astoria, New York City. It is 3 hours ahead of him here on a Saturday night. I'll get the day right eventually. My guest is Phil Cappadora, who is an actor, writer, producer. Phil, thank you for joining the Fixate Binge podcast.
Hey, Joseph, thank you so much for having me.
Man, we met because I recently saw Marty Supreme, and I made a video review of it on TikTok, and I talked a little bit about one of the Safdie brothers, or I mentioned the Safdie brothers, and your comment was, I've actually been in a Safdie brothers film. And that was mind-blowing to me, because I'd love to pick your brain about that, of course. And then in private messages back and forth, we got to know each other a bit better. And you've been acting for quite a while. You're a career actor, if I could put that right. Is that correct?
That's fair. I wish I could actually, I could definitely call it a career, but man, oh man, I'm proud of it, no doubt about it. But man, oh man, it's just like in college, was really on fire, looking forward to it. And I really thought it would be so much different, but not at all. But yeah, I would definitely call it a career.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because you've worked with, and we'll get into this if that's okay with you. You've worked with filmmakers from the Safdie brothers, folks. Are you listening to this? To Steven Spielberg. You were in the film The Bridge of Spies with
Yeah.
oh my gosh, what was his name? The actor. Hang, hang on a second. I'll edit all
His
this
name
out.
is no, his name is Mark Rylance.
Mark Rylance. I'm gonna kick myself. I should be ashamed. I should be ashamed for not knowing that's Mark
He
Rylance.
actually he actually crashed another Tom Hanks film that I was in briefly. We reconnected on the set of The Post. I
Are
think it's
you really the
yeah,
Western? The Western?
no, The Post. The Post was
Oh no,
done
no, no! It's about the
apparently.
newsroom. Yeah,
Yeah, it's very similar. It was about newspapers and the
yeah.
press and whatever was going on in Hollywood and Trump at that time about criticizing the press. They turned that movie from a script into a movie in less than like not even a year. And that was
Holy
unheard of.
cow!
They pumped that thing out real quick.
Well, I went to go see Mark Rylance at the Globe. He played Hamlet. He was the artistic director, and he was always playing, like, he played Cleopatra. Nothing was off limits to him. If it was a female part, he dressed up. Brilliant actor, just such a command of everything around him. He's so very good. And learning that you've been in a Safdie brothers film, and that you've been, is it 2 Steven Spielberg films now you've been in?
Uh Multiple days, 2 films. Yeah. I
Oh
think
my,
yeah, I'm pretty certain. Yeah.
holy cow. We have to talk about that, because you've at least been able to experience what that is on a set and how they run their productions. But let's go back to the beginning, if this is okay with you, Phil. You said that you were a pretty serious athlete before you got into acting.
Yeah.
How did sports, if I have that right, how did sports shape the way you now approach performances?
Oof. This is going back a minute because the only sport I'm really into right now is jujitsu, and that is a completely different frame of mind, approach, nervous system, dynamic compared to theater. Because like in acting, the most important person in the room is the other person in the room, whereas in jujitsu, mixed martial arts, it's the complete opposite. You're the most important person in the room. Don't let them touch you,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
if they do, know how to counter. So the approach is 180 degrees. But from I'd say like back in 2008, 2009, I was training to go to college, playing football, and I kind of just had to go to college. So I took a theater class as an elective,
Mm.
and next thing you know, you're the treasurer of the drama club within a year, the president of the business club, and I just kind of hit the ground running. And I was always very into weightlifting in the gym and later got into CrossFit. And what I could say is that the approach to both is repetition, repetition, repetition. And the more I guess Meisner, the more you repeat, it's just going to become ingrained into your nervous system where it's almost going to become almost like a second nature.
Like muscle memory, right?
A lot of muscle memory, breathing, honestly, yeah, there's no substitute for rehearsal. I love rehearsal. I'm big on that. Whether it's in film and theater, I have to do it. And if I don't, it's just like even with Shakespeare, it's like I can't leave until I know we have this.
I like that. That's discipline. That's really the key, I
Yeah.
think, is just being disciplined. When I was in college, I was in a I directed a production of Hamlet. We rehearsed it for 4 months. I thought 2 months was going to drive people crazy, but we started making discoveries when people could put the book down and they weren't really like line. When they could put, that's when the magic started. We started polishing. We started making discoveries. There was a it wasn't so much a crutch anymore. So that when things are rehearsed, you get that muscle memory. When you're prepared, you can start focusing on polishing other things. And I think that really is the key. It sounds like it's a key in sports. It's definitely a key in acting, stage acting for sure.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. No doubt.
wow, that. Um, I did read your bio. So what I do for all my guests, Phil, I hope you don't freak out about this, but I
Oh, no,
cyber
no.
I cyber stalk all my guests, mostly because I want to make sure I ask questions pertinent to you, and I don't want to feel completely uninformed. But you did mention that you were in a 2009 short film called Village Music.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that
Yeah, man.
you kind of caught the screen acting bug from this. Is that a good way to describe it?
That is 100% true. You didn't watch that movie, did you?
I didn't. It's 23 minutes long, and
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to check it out, but
All
I
right.
was gonna check it out. But what can you tell me about
I
your
don't even
experience?
know.
What was there a moment in this short
Oh, dude.
film where you're like, I could do this. This is I hear my
I not
calling.
while I, not while I was making the film. Not
Okay.
at all. Not even a little bit. I literally did one acting class in community college, which got me scouted from this guy who was directing or helping direct all the first year students and or in community college, it's only 2 years.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was Max Lewin who saw me perform, and my skit was just stupid funny. And it really was. And doing that audition for the New York Conservatory of Dramatic Arts, I did all of those things that I learned from that class, and I just did the exact same thing that got me into conservatory 2 years later. So he had a film finale or a thesis for his like final project with three other guys. And he was a part of the theater program a little bit from, just word of mouth. And I knew nothing about independent films or even that you could do this as a job or how, like, even what it
Sure.
was. I watch, like, you watch movies, you watch TV,
Yeah.
you grow up watching Steven Spielberg, like Hook, for example, and you just like that's just part of your normalcy. You watch something on TV, you have no idea those are people who are working in jobs or anything like that. No,
Yeah.
going into my first like even on the stage, I didn't know what I was doing, and I just got lucky. Everybody else knew exactly what they were doing. They trained for it. I was just doing what I what I practice. Like I said, with the rehearsal, I did exactly that. So Max Lewin introduces me to a guy named Frank Hanley and Kyle Andreas. They asked me to come over to the next town over in Warwick, New York, and I got to meet the directors, writers of the story. And I just did a reading for the part with his little sister. And like one, they just said that was pretty good. Do you know how to spell Derek, which is the lead character in that short? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, Derek. And I was just thinking of Derek Jeter from
Yeah.
memory, and it's just like, yeah, I know. But that might have been the thing, me being able to spell Derek.
Yeah.
That kind of just said, all right, let's try him. And no, dude, I had no idea anything except when the movie was over and we got to all just sit down and watch it. It wasn't until that moment where I'm like, no friggin' way. Because when I watched it, I did not even recognize myself on the screen. I did not even know that it was me at a certain, I was really taken aback. And I saw how I was walking and I'm like, yep, that's why my hamstring is not really good. You should probably really stretch before you film. You ever think of modern dance? Now I do. Okay.
Yeah. I
The
bet
little
that
things
helps
like
with
that.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu or whatever it is. Yeah.
Quite a bit. Yeah. I
Yeah.
wish I had the flexibility that I did 15 years ago.
Let's
That'd
go.
be really helpful right now.
Well, that's incredible because, but it's not unusual, I think, because I've had other actors that have come on and they'll be like, I'll ask them, I'm like, was there a sense when you were making the film that it was going to be as good as it was, or that the finished product was going to exceed your expectations? And so many of them say, no, there's no real sense of that because this is the clunky nuts and bolts, lighting, sound, roll sound, action, and all right, let's get a different angle. Let's shoot from over here, move the lighting around, go sit in your trailer. We'll get the stand in. And so because of the way films are constructed and put together, usually some of my guests would say, I didn't have any sense that it was going to come together at all until I saw the finished cut. And then I was like, oh. So it sounds like you had something like that. Would that be accurate to say that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because even in hindsight, having done a lot of projects,
Hmm.
just being involved and being a part of the process, I really like that a lot. Um, it's not until, especially when you see how things are being done on set, how nothing seems to like really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like these guys know what they're doing, and it's usually on the back end in the final cut when it's done, and not even like so much the cinematography, because when you're on set, we can't sense or see anything like that, or
Yeah.
let alone even the direction. Usually, like when one moment passes, you drop it, you let it go, you kind of forget about it, and you're present with the person with you. Like I
Right.
said before, the other person in the room is the most important person in the room.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
later.
That's incredible. There's a lot of your early work, you'll play you know, heavy roles like cop or agent or FBI agent.
Yeah.
What do you think, what, if they do, what might people misunderstand about those kinds of roles?
As far as audience or other actors, because there's a couple ways. Like
Yeah.
so I'll tell you what happened where I got really lucky. Um, there came a point, especially when I got credit for the affair, which I wasn't supposed to. Um, I was having a really I got tired.
Yeah.
I was having a really hard time, and I was couch surfing for 2 years, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Mm,
I didn't even get a degree. I went to college, I got all these certifications or like all this experience. I'm like, even now it's like, where did things go? But
yeah.
anyway, I don't regret a bit because I did this by faith. I didn't just choose this. I felt that this was reciprocal. This actually chose me. And every time I let this go and I'm moving on with my life, trying something else, somehow I just got pulled back in. But in real life,
Yeah.
I did get tired on this one time in 2015, 14, 15. I was on set for The Affair, and at that point, I was just a guy at the hospital, orderly. but I did the work. I literally had my independent activity. I had this clipboard. I had this pen. What could I do? And I was free to move around and kind of just be background and just move. And I would just like talk to this kid named Travis. He broke his arm. You couldn't even see him in the film, but you saw me kind of walk and it's just like coming over. I'm literally I'm not taking for granted that I'm a background actor or
Right.
a guy without a line or anything like that. I'm an actor and I'm here on set to apply myself to learn and grow. So I'm doing everything that I ever learned, I did that on every single set I ever was. Whatever activity I could do, I did it in the scene. Not to upstage anybody, but I was playing my part. You
Right.
know, I wasn't always the quarterback. If I'm playing guard or the lineman, whatever, I'm doing my part. So this one time, I was just really tired and I wasn't sure I wanted to do it anymore. And something happened. The doctor had us like do this. We did our blocking. I had to pull a Gertie in, no problem. But all of a sudden, the doctor just had a moment, and this was like for the affair in 2015. Noah Galloway, I think the character was, and I forget the name of the actor from 300 who was the lead in that. But he like he was doing it. I'm like, this is an English actor, and the mom from Liar Liar is here. Maureen, I think her name is
Oh
something, and
yeah,
like.
yeah.
I'm like, all right, but I just was having a horrible day. I didn't want to be there. So the doctor, he's talking to Noah. We get the kid on the Gertie, no problem. He just puked green all over the place. Oh, that's awesome. And it was the naked juice. It was like he did a good job, blah, blah, everywhere. So what ended up happening was he grabs me and just looks at me and says, "Take him to Bay 4." And I just improvised and I said, "Copy that. Excuse us." And cut. The director kept it and put it in the show. And then I went from just a regular background guy making $70 a day to making $900 a day, and now a SAG must join. So, but no, I mean, like
Yeah.
even when I was a cop on Good Time, I wasn't supposed to have that role. I was literally just a background guy who was SAG eligible, and I was just in the right place at the right time. And like I said, I just did the work, and we did it that one time in March of 2016. But
Yeah.
they had to do reshoots in September of 2016. We were done. That was it. I got asked to come back, grab my shirt, grabbed everything, yada yada yada. All right, still got it. I'm not completely homeless yet, so we're good. But what ended up happening was the stunt guy, he could not make it that day, and we're like in the lobby, we're just chilling, blah blah blah. And Benny Safdie, he's trying to solve the problem, and he looks over and he says, "What about Phil?" And I look over and I'm like, "What about me?" So I got promoted right then and there, and I look like the FBI or the undercover cop that arrested Robert Pattinson, and that's how I ended up getting on the trailer, just like that.
That's incredible. See, you're in the right place at the right time, and I think so much is one of my favorite quotes, and this reminds me of it, Phil. This is why is luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, and that's
Absolutely.
by Seneca. And I'm thinking you were prepared, and you were in the right place, and that's why that happened. And if you hadn't done the work and you hadn't been present, there is no luck. You know, I don't want to make this about me, but I was in a Chuck Norris film in 1992. It's
Cool.
it's embarrassing because it's a terrible Chuck Norris film. It's called Sidekicks.
Yes, I love that
Are
movie.
you serious?
I
Well,
remember watching that growing up. And
oh
he's got the nunchucks and he's
yeah,
in his imagination. I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that movie.
I'm in the movie.
I was
Um,
5.
you were 5. Wow. I was a
I was,
senior in high school when we did it.
all right.
So it ages me a bit. So it's we.
One more brick. One more brick.
Yeah, that's right. You remember? Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
do.
I played so I played one of the bully kids goons, one of his buddies, you know.
Get out
Um,
of town, man.
yeah, so you can see me. I'm much thinner, same complexion. I had a red hat and a lime green shirt on, and I would sometimes wear the red hat backwards. And it was my own hat, it was my own stuff. And I was on set for 6 days. And but I got to in between takes, and I was just an extra, but in between takes, I would start talking with the main actor that was the bully, who was just lovely. He was just a funny guy. Jonathan Brandis was very shy and quiet, and that's because Jonathan Brandis, we now know, was having a lot of problems. But I would talk to him, and I would tell him jokes, and we laugh. We got along great. And so there was a classroom scene And right before the take happened, I'm over there telling him a joke, and he's laughing his head off. And the director, who is Aaron Norris, Chuck Norris's friend, brother, excuse me, comes in and says, "Wait a minute, that moment. I want to recreate that moment. I want to include it in this next clip." And that's what happened to me, Phil. I ended up in the credits. I'm in the IMDb. I ended up getting an agent from that, a SAG card from that, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, man.
And now I'm embarrassed. I mean, it's great because when people tell me those Chuck Norris jokes, I'm like, well, I spent a few days on the set with Chuck. He was lovely. And yes, his tears can cure cancer. And no, he doesn't cry. So, so, but I mean, but that's it. You were where
Yeah.
you needed to be. And so you ended up in the Safdie brothers film, Good Time.
Shook
Uh,
everybody's hand, like got to meet
wow.
everybody, followed up a couple times. Like I really tried to get in on Uncut Gems. I
Yeah.
was I actually became buddies with this kid who was actually like the co-star with Robert Pattinson, Buddy Duress. He
Okay.
played he played the guy who accidentally was all he's the one who fell out of the window.
Didn't he pass away?
He did pass away. No, no, no. Buddy had passed away, I believe, in after the after the pandemic.
Right.
I'm almost certain.
Was he?
Uh,
He seemed like a really. I mean, he was memorable. His role was very memorable.
he crushed it, man. And we lived on the same block on 28th Avenue.
Oh
He,
man.
he lived further up in the 40s. I was in the 30s, and we bumped into each other in the neighborhood all the time, especially after everything came out. It was like, I can't believe it. Good for him. He's doing great.
Yeah.
He called me up while I was in Texas. He's out in California shooting another movie. But he really turned it around. And then all of a sudden, like I wasn't sure what happened. I know he had a couple setbacks, but when I found out that he passed away, I had no idea. Didn't see anything on the news, in the threads, nothing. Didn't see him in the neighborhood that much after the pandemic, but like, everybody was kind of like out and about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really crazy. Very, very crazy. I, I, I wasn't really familiar with his work other than Good Time. And by the way, I loved Good Time. So good. Such a great film.
I
I
had
get
no
so I get anxious watching it. My heart starts beating, and I'm like, that's the Safdie brother effect. Same with Uncut Gems, and even for different portions of it, same with Marty Supreme. They do high octane, high stress, anxious films. So effective, so good.
Mhm.
Um, well, I wanted to talk a little bit about I guess the atmosphere of a Safdie brothers set, what we're talking about, and what was that like? You're on, I mean, the Safdie brothers are considered, I mean, Josh and Benny, they're considered some of the greatest working directors and writers in Hollywood right now. They're like the Matt Damon, Ben Affleck of the moment, right?
I can't argue that. No.
Yeah, and they're talented, extremely talented. What is it like being on a set? I mean, did you pick up anything just being around and observing how they run things? Because I'm going to definitely ask you this question about Spielberg too.
Course, like I even like not to even like pat myself on the back, but there was a moment where, you know, during the reshoots, like I literally just became the cop and
Yeah.
had some direction, had to, run, chase, don't touch the stunt guy, no problem. But I took an angle of pursuit. He went one way and the other guy tackled. Like I was trying to listen to, everybody, and it was very, very intense, but it was 100% transparency. There were no secrets. The communication was completely open. Um, there was even a moment where like even the cinematography, there was something wrong with just like a bunch of shots, and they would always, before they even got the camera rolling, uh we literally they literally would just like really talk about it and make sure that for the edit later on, this is how it has to go. Don't know exactly why that part was, because like I'm not an editor. I never directed before. I'm not sure what they were referring to, but there was a moment where I actually pulled something out of my back pocket that I learned from conservatory when I took a class from Carol Kassendiek, who was very big in Uta Hagen and Stanislavski. And okay, and like I said, I did all that work, and I remember everything. So I applied something on set, one day. So after even like it wasn't even done chronologically. Everything was done just like, you know, at different parts of the day. And then the arrest might have been like one of the last things that happened. Then they would throw the dummy out of the window.
Mm.
And they had to drop that thing like 3 or 4 times. I think, or maybe it was just no, it was probably just twice, but
Okay.
it was probably just twice. It could have been just once, but I have playbacks in my head.
Yeah.
But Robert Pattinson and I, we're like practically ballroom partners at this point. I remember I had him in such the perfect position where it's just like, all right, he's comfortable, like he's loose, he could literally sit himself in, I could put his head down, make it look like a cop, no problem. I did that. The one thing everybody could not seem to like really just get this one shot down was where the hell is everybody looking? Because for a few times, everybody was looking all over the place, and the cinematographer and I think it was Josh, they were just they were trying to figure out how to like tell us where to look. So I took the liberty and said, "This is what I learned in school. If he and I literally, if you're doing a close up on us, if we agree that we look at this spot right here, which is low, or this spot up here, we could go to A, B, or C, and you tell us based on the camera angle." How does that look? Or we could even go to the right and look into the corner where the dummy nowhere is, and is that the shot you want? Little things like that.
Yeah.
And cinematographer translated what I was saying to them, and that's what ended up happening.
Oh, wow.
Bastion, myself, and Robert, we all somehow at some point agreed it's going to be over there at that corner. You see where that, I don't know, the curtain is?
Yeah.
Everybody look there on 3, 2, 1. We look, and that's the shot. And next thing you know, I'm on Amazon Prime holding Robert Pattinson. I'm like, holy crap, it worked.
That's so
I, I,
cool.
I didn't even know. People that I went to college with or met in auditions over the years, they all saw it in different countries and they're taking pictures and tagging me. I'm like, what? And then I ask like the Echo Alexa device, what's going on? Who's Phil Cappadora? And like the thing knows my name now. Okay.
That's, I
No,
mean,
like being on that set, there's no ego at
mhm.
all. It was very fluid. Everybody was very patient with one another, very efficient, but just once everybody knew what we were doing, it was execute.
Wow.
The preparation really showed.
Wow. I have to ask just because I've turned into over the years, I would say the last 5 to 10 years, I've turned into a Robert Pattinson fan, mostly because he just keeps picking dangerous roles. He picks roles that a lot of actors would be. That's out of my comfort zone. That's out of my wheelhouse. I don't know if I want to push myself into that area. Whether he's playing a French tyrant against Timothy Chalamet in kind of a medieval, you know what film I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I saw it.
Which he's that, or he's playing a Southern Baptist womanizer in this other film I watched him in. Robert Pattinson, all of his roles are never boring. They're always interesting and daring. He's taking risks that I think a lot of actors with his stature in Hollywood would be scared to take. And I see him doing everything. And Good Time is a great example of that. And I thought I'd ask, sorry about the setup, but I thought I'd ask Phil, in your experience being with him on set and being in scenes with him on set, did you pick up anything? Did you glean anything from his process?
Hmm. Well, the one thing I noticed that was really interesting that uh he smokes the same cigarettes as my mother. So I thought that was interesting. And I noticed that the first time we met, but then he switched to vaping the second time we met.
Right.
But I mean, I didn't notice it until I saw the cuts or
Mhm.
until the final product. Like, not really, because I was really kind of like, I wasn't like self-centered or try to just focus on my own thing. I was
Sure.
really just, I didn't want to fuck it up. You know, I,
Right.
I really wanted to like, I wanted to do my part and God willing, leave the right impression where I could be asked to come back.
Yeah.
So like what I would say is like, he's a very chill dude. Like he never complained, never said up, never badmouthed a single person. Nobody. He was very patient with everybody, especially me. He didn't even say that I was like, mishandling him in any way, shape, or form. No, he was just like a chill dude.
Wow.
Um, I don't like he kind of it really kind of he made one really face where I thought like it might have been taken from Leonardo DiCaprio when I look at it, but if that's true, he was able to match it and actually use it. You know, like when the Wolf of Wall Street, DiCaprio did the lewds and he went right into baby drool face and he was out.
Yeah.
I couldn't really quite make it out, but after like the whole arrest scene, like we cuff him and we're booking him. It's for some reason he's dazed and confused. And when I watched the movie, I'm like, he didn't take a hit of acid or something, did he? And it didn't take effect till after.
Yeah.
But it'd be too valuable. I don't think he would have done it upstairs when he's with the dog. And I met that dog. He was actually a cool dog. Like him biting the stunt guy.
Yeah.
I never, that you never would have guessed. And that dog had cataracts disease the whole time too. He was like 11 or 12 years old, and he was able to still get the stuntman just right. And it wasn't even like a trained dog. I think it was just some guy they knew who said, "Can we have your dog bite this guy?" So I don't want to say like there was any like cut corners or anything, but this was like, student filmmaking, guerrilla filmmaking, indie filmmaking, and Hollywood filmmaking rolled into one, like all into this. And then you just got, somebody locking it all together, and this is what you ended up getting. Like for the most part, there was not too much like Robert really did that I really noticed the dynamic between the character and him. In
Right.
hindsight, like honestly, if you asked me that question like maybe 10 years ago, I probably would have had a different answer, but not something that lasted this long.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll move on to your experience being with Spielberg, um,
Jeez.
which I think I would love to be a fly on the wall for anything Spielberg is directing or making. I do believe he is a national treasure. I do believe he is our greatest living. Sorry, Scorsese. I'm really sorry, Christopher Nolan. I'm really sorry, Denis Villeneuve. I'm sorry, but Spielberg is our greatest living director. Sorry with Ridley Scott. I think he's the man, and mostly because of the work he's done and his range. I gotta ask, you're on the set of Bridge of Spies. How long were you on set, and what did you observe from Spielberg's process?
So Bridge of Spies. Yeah, not to get it confused with the Post, but
Yeah.
Bridge of Spies.
And by the way, Phil, I'd love to be the kind of guy that goes, well, I've been in two Spielberg films. I'm going to try not to mix
I
up
can't
both
even take credit.
experiences.
Like no, I was literally like, I was doing like I wouldn't even say up and coming. I can't even say that right now, up and coming.
Yeah.
Like I was I was dependable, and
Oh,
I was like next to homeless at that time. I went to every single film set I could
yeah.
just to have a lunch, and hopefully enough money to maybe not eat just that food, and
Right.
maybe pay the rent for the $500 a month for sleeping on that couch. All
Right.
right. So I hustled and I took everything I could find, and it was just word of mouth, whether it was through Grant Wilfie, a friend, or a phone call, and getting those Taft-Hartley waivers like word of mouth. And I was just somehow it was just always there. So I do remember for Bridge of Spies, it wasn't called that in the beginning. It had a different name, and it ended up becoming a Bridge of Spies. I think actually while it was being edited.
Hmm.
Um, I think I might have had three, if not 2 or 4 days, something along that line, because there was an outdoor shoot that we had to do of the FBI swarming. Who we say that was? Mark.
Mark Rylance. Yeah.
Right. So
Yep.
and I even like that was actually, I think the first time we actually got to talk to Mark for the first time, saying, "Hey, I saw you in Boeing Boeing, you did a great job." And I think that's how he and I met the first time, and then we followed up and spoke like 2 years later, give or take, at the Post, maybe three. But he remembered me, shook his hand, great to see you again. But not to like, keep going.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
So we did the arrest scene, and I'm watching, but here's what I really saw the theater and Mark really show, because like he really took he really like commanded the set. And I remember doing my own independent activity, like especially when I had to go through all the drawers. I looked through the sweaters, and I got it in my head saying check out the stitching and make sure there's no like abnormal marks in the waves of the sweater, because if there is, it's probably like an embroidered code or something like that. And I'm like, there's no way nobody's gonna notice I did that. And when I look at the pictures and everything online, I had to switch to left-handed because I was in the mirror reflection, and I changed my gun position so I wasn't like going over the shoulder of somebody else. I was actually going hard left and just like trying to get that shot and not have it like block my face. And I'm bringing my approach
Sure.
to all the work. But when I was watching, I'm actually, like talk to the other FBI guy who went to school with Jeff Daniels. He told me like we got to know each other, like other actors
Mm.
on, like, you get to know each other. I even had lunch with one other guy, I forget his name, but he was just in Tulsa King as one of the main guys, and he was
Mm.
also the kid, I think, in it was Goodfellas. He sold the guns out of the back of a car, he told me. And
Oh, I'm
that's
trying to remember that guy.
yeah, like, we'll catch up. But I had
Yeah.
lunch, we're talking, and like, any advice? What should I do? And like that, all these seasoned guys, these veteran actors, they would tell you just keep doing exactly what you're doing. Apply, audition. And believe me when I say I met every single agent or manager for like 3 or 4 years, mailed in my stuff constantly, emailed, never got a bite. I'm like, what about good time? I'm still here.
Yeah.
No, like when I was watching, like how just, but Spielberg on set, how he would direct. I remember when I was watching him direct, like the first day, he's only this tall. He's a little guy.
Really?
He's, yeah, he might weigh 100 pounds. He might. Like
Yeah.
he's not Clint Eastwood. I met Clint Eastwood too with Tom, like
Oh,
the day.
really?
Yeah, I did work on Sully.
Oh my gosh, Sully Sullenberger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Miracle on the
was
Potomac or whatever that thing is, or the
out on the
Hudson.
pier. I was there. I met Mimi Siku. Like we got to hang out.
Oh my
I
gosh,
forget his
Phil.
real name, but Mimi Siku was
Yeah.
him in the jungle when he was a kid. Like I was shaking a lot of hands, like for 3 or 4 years, and I went to I even met Radio Man. Like I know, I got to meet a lot of like known people
Yeah.
in the industry, but Spielberg, he was very, very specific in the shots and the timing, and we had to talk like it was me and the PA, you and me, dude. I'm focused on you. Everything else does not matter. And I got tunnel vision real quick, and I just did my thing. And it wasn't until we did more shootings as that same FBI guy, because now we have to do the interior shots, but we did that down at the Navy Yard in Brooklyn. I
Oh.
think it was what is that? Steiner Studios?
Ooh, I don't know. I've
I'm
never been
almost
to New York
100, like,
City.
I'm almost 100% sure it's Steiner Studios. It's
Wow.
not Silver Cup. That was for a different project, and that's in Queens. So doing things indoors on a lot, totally different ball game, not to mention security, but a totally different atmosphere. Like that's the real deal. Like that's where the magic really happens, where it's a closed setting and you can like really focus on stuff. And I was so used to doing like dozens and dozens and dozens of projects outside and playing the elements and still like being in character. So that athletic part that I was telling you about,
Yeah.
the outside does not bother me because I did it in the south, I did it in the north, I did it in the winter, I did it in the summer, and it's just like it just kind of like became a part of my nervous system in a sense, like nothing else matters. And if you're doing a summer scene in the wintertime, that stunk. Oh man, no, that was rough. I hated that part because I had to do that, I think on, oh God, I think it was Daredevil or something like that.
Wait a
That
minute.
was
The TV series for Disney or
uh
Netflix
yeah,
or
originally it was on Netflix.
yeah, you did
That
some of those episodes?
quite a few. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
wow, Phil.
I even got like a decent. When Luke Cage came out, I was even saying, Phil, we need you for this. I'll be there. We went
Oh
up
my
to
gosh. I
home.
watched all of Luke Cage. I watched all of Netflix's Daredevil.
Well,
Holy cow.
Daredevil and the Punisher, just like they stole the franchise, and I think they
Yeah.
stole. Like, they made going to work a lot more fun because when I would actually watch that, and I'm sitting on a couch while everybody's watching it, and they got bedrooms, and it's just like, hey, Phil, there you are. But the other funny thing was is that there was a joke because my car ended up getting more screen time than I did because I would always bring a picture car just for an extra $30.
That's great.
My car's got it's a green Toyota Corolla. I guarantee you are going to see it. And and so many other projects other than me.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, every bit helps. Every bit helps. It's funny because I actually had a question here in my notes where I was about to ask you, Steven Spielberg is renowned for being very specific with what he wants. And you dropped the word specific and Spielberg in your description of just being on set with him. You literally answered the question I was going to even put out there, is that he is very specific and as he's renowned to be. And I think it sounds like he is true to life, very specific. Did you see him give anyone any directions, or was he more technical? More technical, less with the acting or the performance, or just more technical?
He let the actors do their job for the most part. He kind of got himself out of the way a little bit. He didn't really, from what I remember, make corrections in performances. Uh, I remember one time during the post, I remember him saying, "Lose the guy in white," because there were too many guys in white on top of the steps outside the courthouse. And we
Hmm.
actually shot that, I think, at I want to say it might have been Columbia University where we shot that outdoor scene. It was at a college on uh, right off the M60 bus, but it was all the way around on the other side of Harlem. So I remember he said, "Lose the guy in white," and I thought I was being removed. But he said, "Lose the guy in white," and I got out of the way. But when I went over to Crafty to get out of the way, that's where I reconnected with Mark, and we're shaking hands. It's just like, "Hi, good to see you again." But it actually worked out because now my face wasn't in that scene, and I end up getting brought inside. And who do I see is Meryl Streep, and I'm walking next to her, past her. I'm like, "Hi."
Not bad.
I didn't talk to her. Like I was really trying to just be, I was trying to be me. I'm not gonna fanboy or
Yeah.
anything like that. I introduced myself something similar to uh I had to. I made a promise that I would. Steve Buscemi for Boardwalk Empire.
You were
Um,
you were in a boardwalk. Okay, Phil, I got to set this up. I had last year. I had a former colleague of mine in grad school in England. She has become a novelist, and she loved the Boardwalk Empire show. And so this is kind of a blurb for Jeanette, who I hope is listening to this, because Jeanette watched all of Boardwalk Empire and wrote a novel called Trouble in Atlantic City, and it's all inspired by the time frame and the events of the Prohibition during Boardwalk Empire. Uh, you were in episodes of Boardwalk Empire, is that correct?
yeah, a bunch,
Man, oh
throughout
man.
from 2000, like somewhere like in the dawn of 2013. Uh, I left home in July of 2013, and from that point on, like it was a couch surfing for 2 years. And during
Mm.
that time, all the way up until mid 2015, till the time I went on tour for a play I did until about Christmas 2015, into a decent part of 2017, I was on many sets,
Wow.
many. Like not all of them I list on IMDb. At some point, somebody said, "Don't put all of your uncredited roles on IMDb. Like
Right.
somebody's going to look at that and be like, you're not a professional." I'm
You're a
like,
day player, and then you take your check and go home, right?
ugh.
Yeah.
I, that if that's an unwritten rule, they didn't teach us that in college. And I'm like, first of all, time out. I'm proud of all this work I'm doing. If I'm making money on it and my face is on it, if it gives me the option of uncredited, I'm putting it down
Yeah.
because I want to look back and remember this and be proud of it. I didn't start doing this to actually like, uh, with knowing a single human being in the business. So it's not like I have a mentor or anybody to give me like, here's what you do, yada yada. No, I'm learning as I go, and I'm loving the journey along the way. I can do this job. I'm
Yeah.
actually yeah, I'm actually pretty damn good, especially when I shave and get a haircut. I could play almost anything. And to me, that's what it is. It's play.
That's awesome. I want to transition a little bit into some of your work in live theater, but also we're going to talk if it's okay with you. I want to talk a little bit about the Astoria Filmmakers Club and the Triborough Film Festival. But what can you tell us? You mentioned that you've toured with some of your theater, with some of your plays. What experiences have you had on stage that have been most rewarding to you as a
Well,
performer?
nothing's better than the first. Um, that was a fluke, like when I did it, it was literally just an elective and it was a musical, and I literally had surgery on my shoulder
Mm.
My background is in construction, plumbing, ironworking. That's what I did up until college because I had to go to college.
Yeah.
I literally just had surgery on my shoulder. I just got out of the sling, and I'm like, all right, got to do something. I couldn't go to the gym, couldn't work out, but I wanted to try to do something. So, I sang for intermediate school. Like you had to audition to get into uh, the the GIS singers, the Goshen Intermediate School singers.
Mm.
Uh, I got in, and I ended up auditioning for chorus and madrigals at SUNY Orange Community College, and I got into that too. So like it was a couple musicals in the beginning, and I grew up watching musicals because that's everything that my grandma ever did. Anytime we would come over, like if it was South Pacific, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, The King and I, it didn't matter. We watched all of those growing up, and I was into it. I did not associate those are actors doing a paid job. No, that's just what I grew up with. Like I didn't like the concept of money and bills didn't even occur to me until like I graduated high school, for the most part. So like I did three musicals in like 3 or 4 months by the end, like in the beginning, because people needed a guy, and I was the only person who was straight, and they needed a guy. So
That's
like,
right.
all
Right.
right, what do you want? All right, so do this, and I'm just going with the flow. I'm going to college. I literally just I got a torn labrum. I can't do anything. So, all right. And somebody said like really try to do this. And that's why I took the acting class, and that led to my first movie. That then I did the improv class, and I'm taking all those improv things, and I try to get myself fired, but no, I got a promotion and a SAG must join and $1,000. I'm like no, like so then I did my first like real play in college, and that was The Cherry Orchard by
Mm.
Anton Chekhov. And
Right.
that's when I was really learning about craftsmanship and the history of theater and all of these things, like Russian, English, dare I say, vaudeville and or follies or anything like that. When you're learning about this universe, it is 180 degrees different than being a
Yeah.
construction worker in New York City. They're
Right.
not the same language, not even close. But I was learning at it, but I was soaking it up, and the next thing you know, like you're singing. This whole different part of your brain starts to activate, and then it's like you're taking a music class and you compose your first song, and you could actually play the piano. You can't read for shit, just shut your eyes and do it. And I ended up doing it that way. And somehow this part of me just came to life. And I didn't even, it was dormant, and I didn't even know it existed until I went to college, you know? So doing some plays, uh, did something called the Texas Trilogy
Mm.
that I auditioned for with the Regroup Theater Company. And I didn't know it at the time, but Ali Mulholland, who was the director of the entire theater, the entire theater group,
Right.
it was sort of like a rededication to theater from the group theater from like 100 years ago. And I just kind of started like getting familiar with most of these people back in the vaudeville, and there's books, and I am not a good reader. I'm great at audiobooks and things like that. I had the worst reading disability growing up. I was in special ed from 5th grade till 11th grade just for English. And it wasn't until I started reading scripts where all of a sudden I'm
Yeah.
good. I can do this. So I auditioned for the theater company because I'm homeless and doing like I don't have anything else to do. But I get accepted into this one role, in the oldest living graduate, and we're performing in Amsterdam on like 100 something street at a church, like just way off, like way out.
Sure.
Sure, like funny enough, I met a guy named Hamish on that in that group who studied also at the neighborhood playhouse that our teacher used to talk about once or twice as an example. And I'm working with him in a play, and Hamish right now is like doing exceptionally well,
Yeah.
going toe to toe with Jeremy Reiner with Mayor of Kingstown.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and so like he's doing his thing too, and I'm like, motherfucker, I'm like,
Right.
I'm not kissing anybody's ass. Like if you need somebody to do something, I'm gonna do it. But it's like I'm proud of that because I'm keeping up with all of these guys.
Right.
I wouldn't say I'm late in the game, but I'm kind of clutch. I just show up. I got most of my work, like when people really needed somebody because somebody else quit.
Right.
I was always right there, 100% ready to go, kept them reliable.
That's really good to be like the Swiss Army knife. You've got a jack of several trades, and you need somebody to play this character or that character. You have a pretty good toolbox that you can just drop into, which I think is that says something about the versatility, but it also says something about your lived experience and all of the work that you've had, and you bring kind of a wider palette to these opportunities. I think that's fantastic. I wanted to ask you real quick, Phil, about the Astoria Filmmakers Club and the Triborough Film Festival, because you're integrally involved in those two, and I wanted to learn a little bit about how you got involved and what those things came to be and what they mean to you.
Okay, so it kind of goes back to like 2019. I kind of hit a not a low point,
Hmm.
but kind of hit a dry spell during 2018. Didn't really accept like any roles. I was kind of just focused uh on work and being married and being a husband now, and uh prioritizing that. And I came to a point, especially after dropping, I lost count how much money, just thousands. And I just thought, at some point it's just like, what are your priorities? What do you want to do long term? And I really thought, especially at that point, especially in 2017, after like Good Time came out, and I'm double downing. I'm going to agent showcases. I'm like, just did this. I'm gonna do
Right.
headshots. I'm like, I'm here, man. So I just felt like in 2018, like something, wasn't working. So uh a guy I knew was invested in a 3D printer company, and I wanted to give that a shot. I love 3D printing. And even now, I'm like, I love it. I do. I really
Yeah.
do love it. So uh learned a lot about it, became a technician, and I became stupid good at that too. Like I was fixing printers, I learned about them, and even what we were making were these custom insoles for your shoes.
Hmm.
So they're not like orthotics. They perform and function the same, but they're all custom. So if you have and it doesn't matter what type of shoe it is, as long as it's the same size, we're actually printing your foot underneath. So it's the perfect grip. You're
Wow.
like you and the shoe are one and the same because of this 3D printed technology. It was brilliant. So I did that for about a year. And that company went bankrupt while I was in California, and I wanted to go visit my aunt, um, who I hadn't seen in like maybe several years. And that one really affected me because it's like, great, it's another job lost, another opportunity lost. And I just paid off the wedding with all that money that we were making as a 3D printer. And I was traveling a lot, so it was probably better that I was home, I was closer. And ended up getting a job at Costco. And while I'm working at Costco, I get a message on Facebook from my cousin in Staten Island. And this is March of this is February, March of 2019 now.
Hmm.
I didn't act in like a minute, and I'm like, I'm not sure, but all right, fine. I'll take a look at the script. And it was somebody she went to high school with, and that was a script called the Degenerates. And I'm reading this script and I cannot follow it. It's all over the place. None of it makes any sense. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do it, but then I met the director. He came over to my house, and we kind of clicked. Something kind of just clicked.
Right.
And I said, I got nothing to lose. I'm making minimum wage. We're not hurting for money, but I just passed probation. I work for Costco. We're good. So
Hmm.
why don't I take the next 11 days? So we shot 11 days in a row, that entire movie in Staten Island.
Hmm.
And let me just let me just do it. But while I was on set, it really it really hit me. Like, what am I supposed to do? Am I going to wait for my cousin to just contact me like every time somebody needs like an actor or something like that? Or do I got to wait because I met 1,000 people in the last 5 or 6 years if they're just going to give me a call? So I asked the guys on set, do you guys know of like any community or film club or something? And nobody knows or heard of anything like that. So I started one. So that following summer in 2019, I just started having mixers once a week, get together on a Wednesday night, come have a beer, shake hands, meet some people. And I did that all the way up until the beginning of the pandemic. And it was right around that time. The Story Filmmakers Club was incorporated, became a 501(c)(3) in September of 2020. And for the next 2 years, it was absolute hell on earth. And in 2022, I decided to like really just, I got nothing to lose. I already lost everything during the pandemic. Let me try. And met a few people willing to stay on board. And we did season one 6 months later of the Triborough Film Festival, which is New York City's Battle of the Boroughs, exclusively for New Yorkers Film Festival.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
amazing. There's quite a lot of things there to unpack.
Sorry, dude. I know it's like, but I
No,
know there's
nothing
no
to.
short story with me. Like this goes
No,
back.
no. What I like about it is a lot of people would just pack up and go home. The phone doesn't ring, the agents aren't calling, the offers aren't coming in, and a lot of people just pack up and go home. But I like what you've done. You've found ways to stay engaged and to, I mean, if the work, this is going to sound so bad, the mountain came to Muhammad. You decided I'm going to make if the work doesn't come to me, I will find ways to generate the work and generate a community of filmmakers and creatives so that we can actually continue to either work together or find opportunities for each other. And
Yeah.
I think that's extremely inspiring. I think that's extremely inspiring. That is so brilliant.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that is fantastic. And it sounds like it's still going. It sounds like the Astoria Filmmakers Club is still a thing, and the Triborough Film Festival is still a thing. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
We need more board members because we could have as many as 15
Yeah.
anywhere in the world. 'Cause if you're a filmmaker and you want to be on the board of directors, the only reason I started with the incorporation or kept it,
Yeah.
because in the beginning I got hustled. Well, one guy was so pro this, and this. This guy, like cinematically, this guy's a piece of shit, but wow, I respect the hustle. But at the same time, you bastard. It's like it never should have been incorporated because
Right.
it wasn't like, this guy was pretending to be an accountant and he's fake. And I had no idea until
Yeah.
like right after the pandemic was announced, and I get two messages on Facebook about this guy and not to trust him, and here's why.
Hmm.
And just random people contacted me, two
Sure.
Christians. It's just like the Holy Spirit led them, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding. I was furious, but in hindsight, I'm happy I kind of held on to it, because if I didn't have that push,
Yeah.
I never would have just did it. But no, it's like it's just one of those freaky things. And now we got season four of the Triborough Film Festival. It should have happened in January, February, but I got hurt 1 year ago, and that pushed me back all the way up until now. I fell through a storm drain, and
Oh man.
yeah, and that's just a totally other story. Like you can't like I wish I could make this up, but it's just like last year I was tapping out. I was burnt. That was it. I
Yeah.
was done. There's no fucking way this is my life or this is real.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I know my grandpa had white hair, but I'm not supposed to have this much. Like this was really hitting me.
Yeah.
So I pushed it back. I kind of recollected myself, and I worked like literally for the last 2 months nonstop, like Monday through Sunday from 11 to 10 every single day just to catch up. I don't care what the news says. It's none of my business. I have a mission. This is my goal. I need as much money as I can to get out of all that money I lost last year from not working for the most part, get out of debt, figure out again, what am I doing in my life? And God, you're in charge. What do you want me to do?
Sure.
So that's where I'm at. And like a lot of weird, spooky, I'm not surprised God intervention moments, divine intervention moments happened last year since I got hurt, all the way up until basically a week ago, where it's just like, okay, good. Let's keep going. We're on the right path. So
Man.
Triborough is on schedule for April deadline through Film Freeway, and we're going to premiere, or we're going to show everything in later May. But just to give me more time. I'm not going to rush anything, and I'm not going to try to compete with the Oscars. But
Right.
no, if it's warmer, more people will come out and show up. That's fine. And in the
Wow.
meantime, it gives me time to recalibrate the board of directors, catch up on all that nonsense of whatever happened, and just, not panic and just take it one at a time.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I want to kind of close here a little bit because I know it's closing in on almost midnight where you're at, and I know you're a night owl, but that's still getting kind of late. And by
No
the
worries.
way, I had more gray hair at your age when I was in my late 30s. I had so much gray hair. I inherited it from my dad. I tell you what, man, I think you have a unique look. I think the gray hair opens up other doors for maybe different kinds of roles for you. So take that for what it's worth, Phil. I mean, it's not a setback the way I see it. Age is going to happen, and I think you have a good look about you. That's me being honest.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Um, so people talk about the big break. Um, do you think the big break, getting your big break, is overrated? Do you think that there's just too much emphasis on the big break?
Well, there's two ways to look at it. Like the big break, when you catch a break where it's just like, wow, like I needed that. But when you hear about the big break, it's never from the person who had the break. It's always from how people discovered or came to know who they're talking about.
Mm,
Like that breakout role or like this overnight success. They got their big break in this bullshit. You don't know what they did a year ago and the hustle and grind that they did for years prior. You don't know that. So when it comes to the big break, I even did a clip about that in my TikTok because you don't know what your big break actually is or what it looks like. But for me, like it was a breath of fresh air when I did Good Time because while I was couch surfing, a friend of mine mentioned Try Actors Access. Didn't know what it was, and this cop role popped up, and I'm like, of course, click, and it was for a social services movie. Okay, and it happened to be Good Time. Okay, in hindsight, it's like the first button I push, I book the movie that really kind of just put the wind in my sails.
yeah.
And if it didn't have any click or reciprocity in any shape or form, I wouldn't have stuck with it this long, you know? So for me, I know there's a big, like a true big break for the public to really get to know this guy. Not just like the guy, but can he back it up? I
Mm,
think I like I didn't really, what I say, lose what I got. Life, chewed me up and spit me out. But as an actor, life experiences is what you need to bring to your character. There's no shortcuts to truth, you know? And one thing that I really appreciated while I was doing the oldest living graduate, the person who wrote that, forget his name, it's escaping me, but it was big on Broadway back in the 70s. And the writer, I think, maybe have passed, Joan Preston, something like that. But
mm,
he passed away, but his nephew came to watch all the shows. And he came up to me, and I didn't even know who it was at the time. I'm just like, I'm shaking hands. Thank you for coming to the show. Um, he didn't take me aside, but he didn't hesitate to tell me that, he watched every performance so far, and he said that my performance out of everybody was the most truthful out of everybody. And I later found out that there was an agent also in that audience, and I'm like, motherfucker didn't talk to me. I'm
mm,
like, all right. But I took the compliment. I took it for what it was because it is validating. I do, of course, naturally want to buy a house based on being an actor. Like I want to live a life and have a God willing, please have a family someday with this in the mix, if not as an actor, but maybe a writer, maybe a producer, as an executive film festival director, just something. Like give me
yeah.
like some sort of like it's not just a spiritual quest. Like at some point, there has to be like, I don't want to work in a pizzeria forever. I don't want to do Uber Eats forever. And
Right.
there's only so much I can do physically, like before my body one day just decides saying, sorry, man, no more. So
Yeah.
what's it going to be? If it's not this, then what? Because that's the breakup. I really need. If I got to let this go, then I got to let it go. But I haven't gotten a single affirmation, cue, or sign that's what I'm supposed to do. In fact, it's been the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's so hard. I used to do sales, and we had this saying in sales that's it sounds inspiring, but then you start thinking about it, and it's like it's actually a frustrating saying. Even door-to-door sales. I used to be a consultant, used to have a company car, used to drive around, and that was even that sales job was my second career. My first career was to be an academic, which is a different story. But we had this saying in sales, and it was every no brings you closer to a yes. So, but at some point, you have an internal voice, right, that tells you, um, are you tired? Are you reaching the end, or do you want to keep doing this? And for those like yourself, Phil, and for anyone else listening to this, because I have a lot of, I mean, I had 30 guests on the podcast last year. I had 50 episodes out of 52 weeks. I had 30 guests, and they're all creatives and filmmakers and writers and producers, and they're all you haven't heard of any of them, but they're trying to get their big break. They're trying to get their big opportunity. And it's such a hard thing to tell somebody, or it's a hard thing, I think, to come to that acceptance that maybe it's time to do something else. To anyone listening to this, you can hear that Phil has this passion. To any creatives that might be filming in the Queens, Astoria, New York City area, Phil Cappadora is the person you need to call because he can play just about anything you throw at him, literally anything you throw at him. So I want you to have success, Phil. I really do. I like your passion. I like your moxie. I like your can-do attitude, and you are ready. It sounds like throw a script in your lap and you have it and you are ready to go. And I want that for you. I really do. I really do. I think you have a lot of talent and you have so many experiences being on set. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. So if from me to you, I want this for you. I really do. I hope it works out, man. I really do.
Thanks, Joseph. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. And I'm glad to have you on. Anybody that's working as a creative, anybody that's working, that's what this podcast is for. I mean, I love the TikTok thing is just like, I feel like I have to put TikToks out, but I guess
Yeah.
the thrust has always been the podcast. So yeah, it's so nice to have met you and to come across and I feel like I've caught you in mid journey. I really do. I really feel like I've come across I've made your acquaintance mid journey in your career as an actor, and I envy the fact that you have been on multiple Steven Spielberg film sets. I think that's incredible, and it's got to count for something when it comes to getting a bigger role, more rewarding, a series, a regular, something. I hope it happens for you. I really do.
From your mouth to God's ears. Thank you.
You bet, my friend. Listen, to my guests, to all my guests that come on, thank you for always wanting to come on and to talk about your careers, but to talk about your ambitious endeavors. I think when you're involved in an ambitious endeavor, it keeps the creative juices flowing. And that's, I think, the key to not being stagnant and not being, there's certain fish that if they don't move, they die. And I think there's something to be said about a lot of creatives. When your heart is really in it, you have to have something that you're actively involved in, like I said, an ambitious endeavor, because it will keep you alive creatively. And I think that's what you have, Phil, and so many people that come on the podcast equally have it as well. I just want to say really briefly at the end of this podcast, I always talk about your mental health, and it's so, so important. And it's so very important that if you need help, to get help. If you need someone to talk to, go talk to someone. If you have things that are welling up inside you or you feel moments of despair, it is so important to sit down with somebody who's licensed, somebody who's qualified to give you the support that you need. It's something that I have relied on in the past, and there is absolutely no shame in doing it. You come first. You are the captain of your seas. Don't be in a position where you are not altering or changing the events around you. You have to shape your destiny, be an active participant in it. And so I have no other platitudes to talk about with that. I don't want to turn it into a Hallmark greeting card or a Tony Robbins speech, but I hope that everyone is listening to this is having a great week. I'm going to have another creative come back next week. He's going to return to the podcast. His name is Mike Ferguson. Mike Ferguson, I called him the hardest working man in Hollywood. He absolutely is. The guy has like 200 IMDb credits. He's crazy. He's all over the place. And he's such a fun guy to talk to. So I urge you to come back and listen to that podcast next week. I saw Mike Ferguson on Jimmy Kimmel Live last year. It was the weirdest thing. So without further ado, I hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.